YouTube's bias is towards corporatism and profit.
Joe Rogan invited on David Pakman for what I thought was an incredibly refreshing interview. Now, there is one moment in this discussion that I want to pull out, and that's when Pakman essentially debunked the myth that YouTube has a left-wing bias. Watch.
I know that there are people who say YouTube has an inherently left-wing bias. Others say YouTube has a right-wing, whatever. YouTube's bias is towards corporatism and profit.
Yes.
That's fundamentally what it is. And
but as a company, they have a left-wing bias.
I don't know that. In what sense?
Well, in the sense that the woman who's the CEO of YouTube has talked about it pretty openly, like the fact that she doesn't. What was it that she had gotten into? First of all, it was the James Damore thing. You know, she was talking about the Google memo, and she was talking about how it was incredibly damaging stereotypes against women, which it just wasn't. It's not accurate.
Is Home Depot a right-wing company because the CEO supports Trump?
That's a good question. I'm basing it on that they're a part of Facebook, and Facebook is pretty clearly left-wing.
Who's a part of Facebook?
Google. Oh, sorry, Google. They're part of Google. I meant Google.
Okay.
Google is a very, very left-wing group, and it's all Silicon Valley, which is almost entirely left-wing biased.
So I think we have to distinguish between the personal political biases of Silicon Valley entrepreneurs and the broader place that Google has in the sort of corporate sphere. Mm-hmm. Google is part of the group of huge multinational corporations that lobbies for particular tax policy to avoid paying taxes legally. That is not a particularly left-wing thing to do. Google is part of the large tech companies that, in order to avoid serious regulation of their businesses, have come up with this idea of regulating themselves, okay, which I know is a topic, self-regulation, that's come up before on your program in a variety of ways. So those are not left-wing things. And if you want to make the case that as a company, it has a left-wing politic in the outward-facing world, you have to have something more than just a lot of their engineers live in Palo Alto and are hipsters who go to coffee shops.
Well, what do you think?
I think that in terms of the place that it occupies within the economic system we have, they are not very different from all of the large corporations that are pushing against regulation, pushing for ways to avoid taxes, period.
So in terms of economic decisions?
Yeah, I mean, listen, if we want to talk about how the personal politics of the employees translate to policy, we can do that, but we need to be able to make some specific claims about how it does. What I'm saying is we know the way in which the structure that Google is a part of leads to it advocating for things that are center-right, corporatist capitalist. The status quo of tax shelters, havens, and not paying taxes, regulating ourselves, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, that's what's interesting about this Crowder thing is ultimately the decision was to allow him to have his freedom to post videos on there, but the punitive aspect of it is they're going to reduce his ability or eliminate his ability to make money from it.
All right. Now, that last point that Rogan makes there about Steven Crowder being demonetized, I'm going to get to my experience with demonetization because there is this other myth that I guess is kind of part of the YouTube has a left-wing bias myth that where right-wingers, only right-wingers get demonetized on YouTube. Only they get deplatformed. Total, utter crap. And you're going to see. But before I get there, David Pakman here did a great job. So he says straight up, YouTube has a bias towards corporatism and profit. That's YouTube's bias. That is not left-wing. Capitalism is right-wing. Now, you may want to call Google, YouTube center-right. Okay, I think that makes sense. But that's what they are. Now, this is where I notice a lot of difference between the way that people on the left think and people on the right think. People on the right, at least those that, are into YouTube videos, are very obsessed with cultural issues. So like LGBT rights or women's rights, reproductive rights. Those are the big topics of conversation and more cultural issues on top of that. But I mean, that's humanism. I mean, like, this is the crap that blows my mind. Are we supposed to not support gay rights? Is that supposed to be a legitimate position to have? Like, society evolves. We become more and more accepting. We learn. So, being for gay rights is not a left-wing position. That's a humane position. So, you have to look at the economic issues. When it comes to the cultural issues, what the left supports is just what's humane, what's objectively the right thing. Yes, the left is against one race dominating all races. We are for multiculturalism. But should that really be considered left wing, or is that just humanitarian? So this is where I think Rogan's bias comes in, because he has a lot of these right wingers on his show, like Steven Crowder or Ben Shapiro or Dave Rubin. He has this idea put in his head by those people that YouTube or Silicon Valley has a left-wing bias because, oh, look at their website. It's Gay Pride Month and they have a rainbow on their website. It means they're left-wing. Or they're just humane. They're just humanitarians. They just care about people. And first of all, they don't. but that's another situation or another discussion. But that supporting gay rights, at least publicly, doesn't make you left wing. It's how you treat your workers. How much do you pay people? Do you fight for deregulation? Do you fight for tax cuts for the rich? That's what makes you right or left. Being kind to people, recognizing that we all should have equal rights and that multiculturalism isn't scary, should not be considered left wing. But what am I going to say here? So let's get back to this idea that YouTube has a left-wing bias. And I mean, Steven Crowder, his page just got demonetized. Oh, right-wingers being demonetized all over YouTube. Yeah, it never happens to the left, right? We never get demonetized. Let me show you what had just happened today. As I'm shooting this video, this is what happened. A video called Biden versus Bernie on reproductive rights, which is a video about women's rights, and Biden and Bernie's position got demonetized. Now you may think, oh, well, that's just one video. Yeah, okay, so YouTube doesn't want you. By the way, when I say demonetized, it also means oftentimes delisted. So less people are seeing these videos because they aren't being put into the suggested bar on the side of the YouTube page. So people, in addition to these videos not making money, people are not seeing them either. So yeah, sure. Just one video, right? Here's more. Pro-impeachment Republican gets standing ovation. This was demonetized even after a confirmed review, a manual review. All these videos here that I'm going to show you are confirmed demonetized after manual review, meaning that supposedly somebody at YouTube watched the video to ensure that they should actually be demonetized, and someone watched that and said, yep, that should be demonetized. This was just news about a Republican supporting impeachment. That got demonetized. Now think of the reverse of that. If that happened to a right-winger. Oh my, they are trying to... I put a video out saying that a Democrat supports the impeachment of Hillary Clinton and it got demonetized. YouTube has a left-wing bias. That's what would happen. I'm not even saying that YouTube is purposely going after me. The issue that YouTube has here, and I'm going to show you more examples, is that they just give out blanket demonetizations. So instead of actually looking at the content of the video, they think, okay, well, this video is about debunking hate, or it's about how hate movements recruit and how to help prevent them. That's the exact same thing as promoting hatred. That's how they do this shit. So the problem that I have with YouTube is they don't hire more people and qualified people to be able to decipher what is hateful or what is bigoted versus what is content that is actually educational and positive. Let me show you more. So the ones on on shootings, I guess I kind of understand, even though, those stories are all over the internet on other websites, and those websites all all monetize these stories. So it's kind of weird that only on YouTube that happens, but that's what some of these videos are about. So teenage hero loses his life saving a classmate, or shocking Sandra Bland video was buried by News Network. Videos about shootings, I guess I somewhat understand. At least their objective there in terms of these blanket demonetizations of anything having to do with guns. Okay, fine. But watch those videos. These are positive videos, especially the one about the teenage hero losing his life. I mean, these aren't hateful messages. More, Ben Shapiro runs from BBC interview after being embarrassed by a conservative. Look, imagine a video about, Ben Shapiro does a video debunking the Young Turks, and that gets demonetized. Ben Shapiro would be out there saying, oh, YouTube again, left-wing bias, demonetizing me. But you don't hear about it when it happens to me and other left-wingers, because we don't, well, I should say I bitch a lot, but a lot of other people don't. I mean, maybe it happens to me more often than other people, but it happens quite a bit. And maybe we should complain more, because this happens all the time. Yet there's this false idea out there that YouTube has a left-wing bias. I mean, look, I don't want to read all these, but you can pause the video and read these titles. The ones about Ilhan Omar especially crack me up. Almost every video that that's about Ilhan Omar gets demonetized. I don't know why, but they do. So more here. I mean, even one about creepy Joe Biden. This one about Nipsey Hussle. This video is literally about how Nipsey Hussle helped his community. Demonetized. I mean, explain this to me. Hate movements recruit, how hate movements recruit and how to help prevent it. Yeah, again, this is what I'm talking about. You can't tell that's a video that isn't about hatred. That is a video that is clearly has a positive message and is designed to be educational and help people. Yet that somehow is the same as a video promoting hate. This is what we have to deal with. Go down the list. I mean, none of these make any sense to be demonetized. So there's more. I mean, we could just be here all day. I'm not going to show you all of them, but it happens quite a bit. So this is what we deal with. This is what the left deals with. There is no left-wing bias on YouTube. Whether it's, culturally, they don't have one. They may have a rainbow flag on their website, but they are demonetizing pro-LGBT videos just like they are anti-LGBT videos, like they're the same thing when they clearly aren't. One is about acceptance and love. The others are about hatred and bigotry. This should be obvious. So I just hope Rogan has more Pakmans on his show. Have more people that can talk to you about left-wing ideas and, smash some of these long-held myths that are promoted by the right wing. Understand here that the cartoon clownish version of the left that the right wing, especially right wing YouTube, likes to pretend exists, that's not a real thing. I mean, I'll see videos, they crack me up. They'll put in Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez with Jeff Bezos as if they're the same on on political issues. I mean, if you know anything about these two people, they are completely different. They are diametrically opposed to each other. Their positions are completely opposite. But the right will pretend, oh, Jeff Bezos, Amazon, left-wing bias, AOC, left-wing bias, Hillary Clinton, left-wing bias. These are all the same. Meanwhile, AOC's fighting for, much higher taxes on the rich. She's fighting for Medicare for all, fighting for free college. Hillary Clinton, none of those things. Jeff Bezos, the opposite of those things. So this is, understand, especially if you're on the right, and maybe this is news to you. Maybe you're watching this and didn't realize that the left gets demonetized this often. This happens not just to me, but it happens to all of us. So the idea that YouTube has a left-wing bias is just a complete myth.